content is for educational purposes only, drawing from our professional and educational experiences and opinions. Please use this information at your own personal or professional discretion. We are not liable for anything you do with this information.
Good evening. Welcome to Ask the Lady Electrical Inspector podcast. I am your host, Tabitha L. Tonight, I will address common questions that both business owners and homeowners often have about electricity. Over my years of experience, I have encountered a wide range of questions during new construction or renovation projects. Asking questions is essential for communication, knowledge acquisitions, problem solving, ideal sharing, and sparking creativity. This interactive exchange helps prevent disruptions and avoid unexpected costs in construction projects. I am passionate about sharing my knowledge and connecting with individuals eager to learn. I approach my work with dedication, focusing on details, questioning established practices, and seeking process improvements. If you share a similar curiosity, feel free to ask the Lady Electrical Inspector questions. Owners, I encourage you to raise any questions or concerns you have about your electrical projects. I am here to offer clarity, address doubts, and guide you through this electrical project. Let's dive straight into the questions without delay. Let's begin with the first question. Who exactly is the authority having jurisdiction? I'll give you types of authority having jurisdiction. The authority having jurisdiction can be a local, state, or federal government agency, depending on the project location and type. Some common types of authority having jurisdiction include government agencies. The most common type of authority having jurisdiction is a local government agency. It can be a city, a county, or a municipality building department responsible for enforcing building codes and regulations. Electrical inspectors fall under this agency. Fire department. The fire department is also an authority having jurisdiction responsible for enforcing codes and fire codes and regulations related to fire safety. State government agencies. In some states, the state government agency is the authority having jurisdiction responsible for enforcing building and fire codes and regulations. Federal government agencies. In some cases, a federal government agency such as OSHA, the Occupational Safety and Health Administration, can be an authority having jurisdiction. Just to name a few, because that question has come up. Tonight, I am starting with a follow-up question from the podcast Ask the Lady Electrical Inspector, which aired on May the 14th. This episode focused on fire pumps and discussed many important details related to them. The question, can EMT conduit be used instead of MI, mineral insulated cable, to achieve a 2-hour fire rating? No. Electrical metallic tubing, also known as EMT, is a type of metal conduit used to protect wires. While it does not catch fire easily, it does not have its own built-in protection against fire for a very long time, like 2 hours. This means that it will not necessarily stop a fire from spreading or keep its shape during a fire to ensure that you have proper fire protection. For the amount of time, it's important to use special fire-rated cable or a fire-rated cable system. Another option is to wrap it in concrete with the concrete pour to help improve fire safety. It's important to stay up to date about new rules regarding fire safety for electrical cables. Recently, a plan to certify some electrical cables for use in metal conduits with a 2-hour fire rating was withdrawn because the testing was not done properly. This means that other options like using MI cable or enclosing cable in concrete are currently the best way to ensure fire safety. Although there have been updates to the testing for certain products that now allows for a 2-hour fire safety rating, it's important to be aware of the specific limitations attached to these approvals. Following the guidelines as required by the code and the manufacturer can be tricky on construction sites, especially since different brands may have their own requirements. For projects that need fire-resistant cables, like those used for fire pumps, elevators, and emergency systems, if MI cable isn't an option, it's crucial to communicate any restrictions of other available fire protection methods to the supplier or the supply house. Sometimes the supplier may not mention these limitations when selling their products, which could lead to an expensive mistake if overlooked. MI cable, also known as mineral insulated cable, is a special kind of electrical cable that is designed to resist fire. It usually has a copper outer layer and is filled with mineral materials that help keep electricity from leaking out and help stop fire from spreading. This makes it a safe choice for electrical applications. UL 2196, approved fire-rated cable, manufacturer 600 volts. This is the latest information that I can pull with the 600 volts. If there's 1,000-volt cable, MI cable, can you please send me that information for verification? Here's the latest update from UL. There are 3 manufacturers that have a listing for 600-volt cables. If you need those listings, please contact me, and I will give you the 3 manufacturers, and they do have different requirements, and each one is because it's a part of a listing. Let's take each one individually. So there's a system. This is approved for horizontal installation only. So that's something that you would need to take in consideration. Horizontal. That's a big mistake if that happens on a job. Nothing smaller than number 8 passes the test. Conduits must be easy pull brand only. So these are some restrictions. So make sure. So there's one cable that does not have any limitations. And I'll put that name out there with no limitations. Pentair System 1850. MI cable, 600 volts. Stay informed and vigilant to ensure that the fire safety standards are upheld in all electrical work. Question from contractor. I need information on the new pizza restaurant we're working on. I had a meeting at the job site with the utility company. He requested that I get approval from the authority having jurisdiction for some specific details regarding the electrical meter setup. Currently, we have a system in place with 4 electric meters, each capable of handling 200 amps. 2 of these meters are connected to existing units. One serves the pizza space, and the fourth isn't being used. Each meter has its own circuit breaker outside, but unfortunately, there isn't enough space on either side to add a new large 400 amp meter. Before we move forward with installing 200 amp services using 2 of the meters, the utility wants to confirm that this plan is acceptable for the authority having jurisdiction. This setup is like what we did at another location. Looking forward to your feedback. Answer. With this type of service configuration, the authority having jurisdiction will allow one tenant to use 2 disconnect of service provided that the disconnects are in the same disconnect meter enclosure. So that means they shall be grouped. Article 230.72. Both disconnects must be marked, indicating the tenants that they serve. Article 230.70b. The National Electrical Code consider this service as one. 6 means of disconnect is not 6 separate services. Question from a homeowner. Why do I need a building permit if I am just putting in some electric work in my basement? Building permits are essential for construction projects, including electrical work. Building permits play a crucial role in ensuring safety and compliance with local and national electrical codes requirements, which can differ based on your location. These permits empower building departments to scrutinize and assess the work to confirm its adherence to safety standards, safeguarding residents from potential risks such as electrocutions and fires. As the electrical inspector, one of my responsibilities in many of the construction projects is to make sure that I check to make sure that a building card has been issued. That tells the local municipality that work is going on in their jurisdiction. If I arrive to a job site, there's no building card there. You are allowed to get a building card within 24 hours because most of the time the contractor will state that they have one, but they don't have it on site. And if that is the case, you can call in the inspection the very next day and have your building card. But if you don't have a building card, it's going to be a process. It's going to be a process. So it's going to take a couple weeks, possibly months. A building card is required if you build. Notably, a building permit is required when undertaking such tasks as new studs or walls. Acquiring a building permit is mandatory. Altering the layout of your home necessitates a building permit. This permit serves as a guarantee that the work is carried out by a licensed contractor with the necessary permits and inspections in place. This particular significant when this becomes particularly significant when considering scenarios like modifying a home, failure to obtain a building permit during such changes can have repercussions when selling the property. Question. Question. Does the local authority having jurisdiction require me to replace the Federal Pacific panel in my home? Neither the authority having jurisdiction nor the National Electrical Code specifically mandates the replacement of a Federal Pacific panel. However, a growing number of insurance companies and HOAs are increasingly requiring these upgrades. While the panel themselves are not classified as illegal, electrical inspectors may recommend or enforce their removal if they are determined that they are a safety hazard. Federal Pacific panels have garnered a reputation for being a safety hazard in the realm of the electrical systems and home inspections. The primary concern revolves around two key factors: defective breakers and brittle materials. The effective breakers are notorious for the Federal Pacific panels are notorious for their circuit breaker unreliability. These breakers are designed to trip and disconnect power in case of excessive electrical flow to prevent overheating. Brittle material, another issue, stems from the material. So you can look that information up. The authority having jurisdiction, we do not mandate that you change your panel unless it's a safety hazard. Question. What are the implications for my insurance coverage if I engage an unlicensed contractor and subsequently experience significant damage to my property? Point blank, if you, as the homeowner or a owner of a business, hire an unlicensed electrical contractor or a unlicensed contractor and you have significant damage to your property, the ultimate penalty would be that your property will not be covered. That's the ultimate penalty. You would lose everything you have for that simple mistake. Simple as that. Question. In what ways do open permit affect selling my property? Question. In what ways do open permit affect selling my property? When buying or selling a property, one important thing to keep in mind is whether there are any open permits associated with it. This is something that many people might not think about, but it can really complicate the process of you selling your home. Open permits are basically permits that have given you permission to do construction or renovate your projects, and they have not been finished or closed out. When you go to sell your home, there's certain procedures that are in place to make sure that the new homeowner isn't responsible for things that were on the prior homeowner. So Your parcel number will be ran through the system to make sure that you have no open permits. And that's when it will affect you at the sale of your home. So before you sell your home, just go to your municipality and ask them, do you have any open permits? And they should provide that information for you. As a result, when it comes to real estate transactions, it's important for buyers and sellers to be aware of any open permits. Addressing these issues early on can help ensure smoother transitions, a smoother transfer of property. Let's work together to tackle any potential electrical safety concerns. Can you use the panel board enclosure as an equipment grounding conductor? Or are you required to have a wire type equipment grounding conductor to every bar? No, the panel board enclosure cannot be used as an equipment grounding conductor. While the enclosure itself might be part of the grounding system, it needs to be physically and effectively grounded using a dedicated equipment grounding conductor. This means a separate grounding conductor wire needs to run with the feeder conductor to the panel board. Mainly, it's normally the main water grounding electrode. The National Electrical Code mandates that equipment grounding conductors must be physically ran with the feeder conductors to the panel board. This is This is specified in Article 300.3b. The purpose of a equipment grounding conductor provides a low resistant path for ground fault current, ensuring the safe operation of the electrical system. Join me Wednesday, May the 28th, for a conversation about electric vehicle chargers. I will discuss common reasons why these fail inspections, and I will go over safety rules for essential guidelines to avoid future issues. Let's work together to tackle any potential safety concerns. Visit my YouTube channel where I post short videos showcasing common mistakes in electrical inspections. You can learn about the practices to follow and what to avoid while dealing with electrical systems. If you're interested in understanding more about electrical standards, check out the list of 60 best electrical podcasts. Podcast.feedspot.com electricians. Feel free to reach out on social media with any questions, comments, or topic ideals. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube under the name Ask the Lady Electrical Inspector. You can also reach me by email at asktheladyelectricalinspector@gmail.com for more discussions or to share your thoughts. Let's work together to keep our electrical system safe and up to code. Thank you for your time and have a great night.